Hello, everyone, and welcome to Night of Wrestling. I'm your host, Rob Diltz, and today we have Dylan Koros,
What
and
up?
we have Paul joining us today. First
Hello.
time being a part of any of my YouTube series, so
I know. Why did it take this long?
I have no idea, to be honest. And I mean, like, I've been doing Big Rob's little podcasts, and I've never had Ref Boyardee on my podcast before.
Well, see, that's your own fault.
Yeah, that
I'm gonna make
actually
I'm gonna make you
is.
regret it in this broadcast.
Oh, God. I kind of already am. But anyways, today we are discussing the greatest Royal Rumble event taking place tomorrow on the WWE Network, 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time start time for the event. We are discussing our predictions for the event, and also we are gonna start this broadcast off with a 10-second moment of silence for Bruno Sammartino, as he passed away a week or two ago. And so let's start that moment of silence. Okay, so Bruno was a great man, and he definitely had the longest title reign in WWE history, within 2 reigns of being champion, and left behind a great legacy and his family, and he'll be greatly missed. Having said that, though, moving on to the topic at hand for today being the greatest Royal Rumble event taking place tomorrow on the network, like I said. And on Wikipedia right now, it says that there are 10 matches announced, so 7 of them being championship matches. Um, and one of them being a casket match, which I'm kind of looking forward to. Again, I'm kind of not as well, but we'll see how that goes. And of course, the 50-man Royal Rumble match. So we'll start off actually by talking about The Undertaker versus Rusev in that casket match. And I'm going to start it off with Dylan with his thoughts and prediction on this match.
What a couple weeks, because first they announced Rusev versus Undertaker, and then Rusev talks a bunch of stuff on TMZ, which led him to being kicked out of that match and being replaced by Jericho, and then like a week later, it's back to Rusev and Undertaker. There hasn't been a casket match in like at least 10 years. Last one I remember though was like the Mark Henry Undertaker match from WrestleMania. So I'm kind of curious on how this casket match will turn out. Obviously, I think it's a no-brainer that the Undertaker's going to win this match. And, yeah.
All right, Paul, your thoughts?
I'm not really sure where to go on this one. Personally, I think I would rather have seen, if given the choice between the two, and this is nothing against Rusev, I just would have rather wanted to see Jericho, because if you went on his Instagram right after that match was announced, he was like, "Oh, I'm the king of the casket match. I've never lost." They could have done something great with that. It's obvious that Undertaker is going to beat Rusev, but I am going to correct Dylan on something. I just looked up the history of the casket match, and I'm not sure if it was televised, but there is a picture of Undertaker and CM Punk in a casket match. I know him and Big Show were on a Survivor Series where they had a casket match. So
I think
it hasn't been as long as you think it has been. But yeah, I think Undertaker is a safe bet. It is a big event, so I can understand wanting to bring in everyone that you could. But Undertaker, it's time for him to back away. He's 53 years old. He doesn't need to be doing this anymore. Hopefully this will be like his last big run, so to speak.
Yeah, for sure. I'm going to agree with both of you actually on this one that Undertaker is going to defeat Rusev. I agree with Paul. I would have liked actually to see Jericho against Undertaker in this match. And again, nothing against Rusev and the whole Rusev Day thing, but
Happy Rusev Day.
Every day is Rusev Day. But unfortunately, Rusev has to lose on his own day. So Yeah, that's my prediction. And like I said, Jericho has been my all-time top favorite wrestler ever since I started watching wrestling back in like the year 2000. And it would have been much more fun to see. But yeah, Paul basically nailed it right in the coffin, or in this case, casket.
Wow. Excellent use of pun there.
Yeah, no. The Undertaker is a safe bet to win this match. Moving on, we'll talk about this next singles match, which is kind of a high caliber matchup between two superstars who have a combined, I think, title reign of, I believe, 30 titles between the two, like, so 15 for each of them. Cena versus Triple H. Correct me if I'm wrong here, but I believe 30 is the number between the two.
Yeah, 16 and 14 would be.
Yeah, that seems about right to me.
Okay, makes sense. Right, I said 15 for each. My bad. Anyways, so yeah, John Cena versus Triple H. There hasn't been much build to this match besides just, promo for it. But I mean, this is probably a big match, especially for the both of them. No real stipulation. It's just these two going at it. You've seen it kind of somewhat before. I kind of want to see Triple H winning this. I don't know why. Triple H is another one of my favorites. I mean, it's Big Match John, who is also known as Super Cena. He's known to not lose many matches, but he has lost a few, especially when some of them counted. So,
well, I am gonna just kind of cut you off here. I know this is your
fair.
show and everything, but I am gonna
fine.
interject here with my thoughts before you let Dylan speak, because you talk about what a couple of weeks about the casket match, but this match is being overshadowed, unfortunately, by John Cena's personal life. I think it's one of the reasons why there hasn't been much promotion for this match. That's one of the reasons you haven't seen John Cena on TV, because his personal life has taken over the world, so to speak. His sudden breakup with Nikki Bella, and I think that's going to be a big problem in just getting the match over. But John Cena, Triple H. When these two get together, it's always money. It's always a great match. I would like to see John Cena actually take this, because I feel like not only in this personal life, but in this professional life that he's in, the last time we saw him, it was a relatively quick loss against Undertaker at WrestleMania. I think he kind of needs that bounce back, so I'm going to actually put down John Cena to win this match.
Okay, that's a fair statement. Dylan, what are your thoughts actually on this match?
Yeah, I'd have to agree with Paul. I think John Cena is going to take this. Like Paul said, his last 3 minutes with the Undertaker, his personal life's gone downhill. And I'm pretty sure, if I'm not mistaken, at least the last 6 pay-per-view events John Cena has lost. He's lost at Mania. He's lost at Fastlane. He's lost at Elimination Chamber, Royal Rumble, all that. I don't think Triple H really needs the win, to be honest. I think Triple H is at that point. Obviously, he's ready to just put people over. Obviously, I can't really say that when he didn't put Sting over at WrestleMania 31. But, he put Rollins over. He put Ronda Rousey and Angle over. I'm sure he'll put Cena over like he's done many a times.
Okay, that's also a fair statement. And again, it'll be a good match, and like Paul said, it'll be money. Moving on, though. We'll talk about this singles match for the Cruiserweight Championship between Kalisto and Cedric Alexander. It's going to be interesting. Cedric Alexander just won the Cruiserweight Championship at Mania, defeating Mustafa Ali. And I don't see him losing the championship right now. That's just going to be my prediction right there. Cedric Alexander is going to retain. We'll go with Dylan on his thoughts, unless Paul, you have anything to add first.
You know, I'm surprised it's Kalisto that's facing Cedric Alexander. I guess they're going to do another face versus face match, probably because there's not really many heels in 205, or established heels, I should say, like Drew Gulak and Jack Gallagher and even the Brian Kendrick. So, yeah, this should be a lot of high flying spots. A lot of the indie marks will like this match. A lot of high flying, like I just said, and yeah. So I think Cedric will win. Kalisto already had his time. As was it only one? I think it's only one time, but he was already the Cruiserweight champion. So might as well give a nice run with this Cedric, who seems like he was supposed to get the title in January, like I probably said in recent podcasts, until the whole Enzo thing happened. Yeah. So yeah, Cedric Alexander, he's gonna.
Yeah, it's pretty hard to see Cedric Alexander losing this match. Like you said, he just won the title just a few weeks ago. He hasn't really had a lot of time with it. It wouldn't surprise me if they decided to do a little bit of a swerve and put the title on Kalisto, but I think that would be kind of the wrong match to do any kind of shock value with. I think Cedric's got this, no problem. That said, it's going to be a pretty exciting match, I think.
For sure. That being said, we have Jeff Hardy, the current WWE United States Champion and one of the newest additions to the Grand Slam Champions list, going up against Jinder Mahal for the U.S. title. I'm going to actually have Paul start this one off with his thoughts.
I actually don't really have much to think about on this one. Just because, shame on me, I really haven't been paying much attention with the U.S. title picture. That's just me. That said, Jeff Hardy, we all know what he can do. We all know what he's been able to do. Jinder Mahal, I really have no thoughts on this one. I'm just going to sum it up simply. Jeff Hardy, still the United States champion after tomorrow.
All right. I like that prediction. Dylan, what do you think?
You know what? I think it would be Jeff Hardy that will retain. And it kind of would be surprising a little bit if Jinder won. And then they could actually, because they originally had advertised Jinder Mahal and Orton for the U.S. title at Backlash. But then Jeff Hardy won the title and they kind of scrapped that match. So curious to see whether Orton's going to face either one of the two again. Or
those magical 4 words, card subject to change.
Yeah. So, yeah. So Jeff beats Jinder Mahal.
Jeff Hardy beats Jinder Mahal. Okay. I'm going to agree with you two, actually, in this match of Jeff Hardy and Jinder Mahal. I definitely believe, Jeff Hardy is capable of pulling off anything to retain the championship. We'll move now to the tournament finals, as they had like an eliminator tournament for the vacant WWE Raw Tag Team titles. We have this new team of Bray Wyatt and Matt Hardy, which I just love right now. They're going up against The Bar. The Bar is from SmackDown, and Wyatt and Hardy are from Raw, and so this one's a no-brainer for me. They're going to leave the Raw Tag titles where they should be, and just have Bray Wyatt and Matt Hardy probably win this match. Although, I don't know what kind of idea they have with this one, if Cesaro and Sheamus. do win, but I don't see that happening. So my prediction right away is just Wyatt and Hardy, because they're working well together, and some might speculate on it, but it's just one's opinion. So that's my prediction: Hardy and Wyatt. So Dylan, what do you think?
Yeah, I think Woken Matt Hardy and Bray Wyatt will win the tag titles. It should be some interesting TV over on Monday Night Raw. I think it's also time for the Bar to just, they pretty much have faced all the tag teams on Monday Night Raw. It's time for them to face guys like New Day, Bludgeon Brothers, Usos, all teams they haven't faced yet. And yeah, just simply, I can't see like, a SmackDown team taking the Raw titles. It would be a shock value, but I just don't see it. So Woken Matt Hardy and Bray Wyatt takes the tag titles.
Yeah, that's pretty much the same idea over here. Just because the Bar is on SmackDown, it wouldn't make too much sense to have the Raw tag team titles on SmackDown unless it was a way to get them back onto Raw. But as Dylan said, they've kind of faced everyone. They've kind of done everything. So it wouldn't make sense for Cesaro and Sheamus to once again be the Raw Tag Team Champions. And Matt Hardy and Bray Wyatt, they come up with some excellent TV. I'm excited to see where it goes. I think the only logical step here would be to put the tag team titles on them.
Yeah, me too, actually. Definitely looking forward to that match for sure. Continuing on with tag team titles, we'll talk about the SmackDown Tag Team Championship. The Bludgeon Brothers, as the current SmackDown Tag Champs, are defending against the Usos, Jimmy and Jay. Again, this should be a good match. We'll get Paul's thoughts on this match first, actually.
First things first, good on Luke Harper. Just first things first, he does come from the Rochester, New York area. You might remember him as Brody Lee. I'm really excited to see what he's doing now. It's better than what he was doing this time last year, basically floundering in the we don't know what to do with you department. So it's really great that they kind of have him with his roots with Rowan, and they're just doing what they do best, and that's just beat people up. I think the Usos, it's kind of the same thing. As much as I have loved the Usos carrying the SmackDown Tag Division over the last year, and they've really shown that they can be one of those upper echelon tag teams, I think they've done a good job setting up the SmackDown Tag Division. Now it's time to kind of step away, probably try to bring up some younger teams that might come up from NXT. So I see the Bludgeon Brothers taking this one. It's going to be hard-hitting. It's going to be athletic. It's going to be a lot of fun. This is going to be my sleeper match of the night. This is going to be the match that I think could very well steal the show.
Okay. Dylan, what do you think?
Bludgeon Brothers are going to retain the tag titles. I just think it's time. There's no point of an Uso. Not really no point, but I just don't see the Usos getting another tag title reign. They've basically been the top team of the SmackDown Tag Team division since they've won the tag titles from, I'm pretty sure it was American Alpha the first time I'm talking about, just before last year's WrestleMania. And with all the title switches with the New Day late last year, which was some great matches, especially the SummerSlam match, considered as probably top five, part of the top five of the best matches of 2017, that match. I just think it's time, let the Bludgeon Brothers run with those tag titles. Usos, with their promos and their in-ring skills and their match abilities, they've proven that they are, no matter what, they are the top tag team in SmackDown. That's over New Day, over, I can't say American Alpha because Jason Jordan's on Raw. But all those teams, Usos are still number one tag team. So...
Yeah, I agree with both of your thoughts, actually, and I'm proud of Luke Harper right now and everything that he's done within the last few months even, and This is going to be a fast-paced, hard-hitting matchup, and I think Paul might be right with this match being the one that steals the show, possibly. And I'm going to agree. The Bludgeon Brothers are my favorites to win this match and retain their titles. And moving on, we have 3 more matches to talk about. We'll talk about actually this latter match. It's a fatal 4-way for the Intercontinental Championship. So you have 2 superstars from Raw and 2 superstars from SmackDown in this match, actually. Because if you think about it, The Miz is now on SmackDown, Samoa Joe's now on SmackDown, and then you have from Raw Finn Balor and Seth Rollins, the current champion. So this one's going to be a good one for sure. And just seeing Balor and Rollins in the same ring together, you know it's going to be a great match. And so I don't see someone from SmackDown like Samoa Joe or The Miz winning it, even though The Miz has brought prestige back to the Intercontinental title, as he has stated. Seth Rollins, again, he just won the Intercontinental Championship and cementing himself as a Grand Slam champion. And I don't know. I kind of want to see Balor win the Intercontinental Championship at some point. Do I think that this match is his match, though? I don't think this time is going to be Balor's time. I think Seth Rollins is going to retain the IC title. And I don't really need to discuss further on why I believe that. It's going to be Monday Night Rollins with the IC title for a little bit longer. And I'd like to hear Dylan's thoughts, actually. What he thinks.
Well, obviously, so different scenarios. Miz wins. He ties with Jericho as the most reigns of Intercontinental Championship title runs of all time with 9. Samoa Joe wins. He'll walk into Backlash with Roman Reigns as IC champ, so there could be an IC title match between them two, or perhaps a little hamster on the wheel discussed for later on for one of the main event matches. Miz, I already said that, and Finn Balor. I don't know. I don't really see Finn Balor winning it, so I guess I'm gonna have to say Rollins. Like the whole scenario, if Jinder Mahal won the U.S. title, then I could see, Samoa Joe or Miz taking the IC title back. Then those titles switch.
Right, because Mahal is on Raw now.
Yes.
I remembered that, so.
And that's how Mahal lost the U.S. title to Jeff Hardy.
Yeah.
So Monday Night Rollins continues.
Okay.
The Intercontinental title.
Paul, what's your thoughts?
Let me just say this from the off. Seth Rollins is the best thing on Monday nights today. I have been a Seth Rollins fan since day one. I love him. I love his work. I honestly think that he should be the number 1 guy on Raw right now. Absolutely. This match, however, it's really hard to predict because, the only thing it's gonna come down to is that Jeff Hardy Jinder Mahal match. If Mahal wins that match, then and the U.S. title, then I'm going to say that the Miz is going to win the ladder match, get that record-tying 9th reign, and maybe beat the all-time across multiple reigns record because I think he's only like 60 some odd days short of that. I think I could be wrong on that. But if the U.S. title stays on SmackDown, then see, this is tough because I could see either one of them taking it. I could see either Rollins or Balor taking this. But if you're holding me to one, then I'm going to say Finn Balor. I don't know why. It's just I love what's going on with Seth. I think he's one of the best that Raw has. But I'm feeling Balor for some reason.
Fair enough. That is a good pick. Like I said, that would probably be my second pick. But holding me to one, I would say Rollins retaining. Moving on, though, we have two World Championship matches, one being for the Universal Championship, which we'll talk about in a second, but I actually want to talk about AJ Styles versus Nakamura Part 2 for the WWE Championship. This match happened literally just weeks ago at WrestleMania, and the outcome, not outcoming, of this match was AJ Styles retaining and then Nakamura turning heel, which was a complete shock to everyone. And I don't know, I kind of like heel Nakamura for some reason. I like his whole I don't speak English thing, because, you know, he is from Kyoto, Japan, or he's built from at least. And it's going up against AJ Styles. Like, this is obviously a dream match that was seen, I should say, at WrestleMania. This was a dream match seen at Wrestle Kingdom. For this match to take place again, I don't know who I would pick on this one. So maybe I'll give it a little bit more thought and hear, you know, Dylan and Paul's discussion about this first, with Dylan starting us. Actually, no, what Paul starting us off.
I was say let's start. Or let's.
Yeah.
I can't fucking talk today. Paul start first.
Yeah.
I'm not really sure how to feel about this one, honestly. But let me start with Shinsuke Nakamura's heel turn is probably the best thing that could have happened to him. His face run just wasn't working. I think if you've ever had a conversation with me about Shinsuke Nakamura, you would know that he hasn't really done anything for me since arriving in WWE. That includes the match with Sami Zayn, which I thought was actually the most boring match of that card. But I'm liking this now. I'm liking that they're giving him a chance to shine as a bad guy. And I think the only way to really cement this run and just make it really great, and just to see how far he can really run with it, I'm going to call it right now. Shinsuke Nakamura breaks the rubber match. This is the rubber match if you consider the match with Wrestle Kingdom. I'm going to go with Shinsuke Nakamura leaving Saudi Arabia as the new champion.
Okay. Now, actually thinking about it, I believe you're absolutely right. And yeah, you know, AJ's been WWE champion for a little bit now. You know, time to have a new face as WWE champion. Well, I wouldn't say face, because you know what I mean, though. A new face with the title. And correct me if I'm wrong, AJ Styles is a two-time WWE champion?
Two-time, yeah.
So, yeah, it's time for a new champion, I believe. And, of course, I agree with Paul's statement. You know, cementing this heel run and this whole scenario, this rubber match between the two, if you're including Wrestle Kingdom, of course, with Shinsuke winning and becoming new WWE champion. Actually, wouldn't mind seeing Shinsuke as WWE champion. You know, it's kind of bound to happen. I'm going to agree with Paul. Dylan, what do you think?
You know, I think it's kind of hard. Shinsuke is doing pretty good with this heel run. I mean, he's just starting, so I kind of think like it's not time for Shinsuke to win the title. If anything, this feud's going pretty decent to the point where I feel they could possibly pull off the Randy Orton Christian from 2011 and have this feud go on till like somewhere close to like SummerSlam, where in between that Shinsuke could win the title, and then it ends with AJ Styles on top again as WWE champion. But at the same time, you got guys like Daniel Bryan who seemed to be thrown into the mix for a sec until Big Cass came in. So I don't know. I'm just gonna say for right now, AJ Styles is going on top, retaining, and Shinsuke's even more. He's more mad than ever.
Okay. That's a great view on that. So, yeah, one more World Championship we're going to talk about is the Universal Championship match being contested in a steel cage. We have current champion Brock Lesnar, who just weeks ago defeated his opponent for the Greatest Royal Rumble event, being Roman Reigns. I kind of agree with everyone in the WWE and how they feel on a part-timer being the Universal Champion, representing the Raw brand right now. But there was also speculation that, Brock Lesnar's heading back to the UFC soon. Just, no time frame on that yet. But I know Dylan will probably interject and say, Lesnar's set to leave the WWE soon as well. His contract's going to expire, whether it's going to be, tomorrow is the ending or like SummerSlam or whatever. I don't know. As much as I don't want to see Roman Reigns winning the championship, for some reason I feel like this is going to be Roman's match where he wins the Universal Championship. And there's not much more really I can say on this match. So, Paul, what do you think?
Well, Lesnar's new deal, I'm looking at these notes right now as you're talking about it. According to Dave Meltzer, so, when dealing with another source, always take it with a grain of salt. But it's going to be short term. And the thing is, after Lesnar's last fight, he was suspended from competing in the UFC by the US ADA, which is the drug testing protocol. Yeah. So it's going to be 6 months at the very least before we see Brock Lesnar in the UFC octagon. This is looking very much like Roman's time. I know we said that heading into WrestleMania, and then look what happened there.
Gets swerved.
Yeah, that was the big match. That was the big swerve of the night, I guess. I don't know how much longer they want this feud to go on, especially if Lesnar is, and I don't like to talk about money on things like this, but Brock Lesnar's making bank on this match, as well as any appearance that he makes.
Yep.
We all know the numbers. We don't need to go into that. I think it's time for the Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar story to end. It has been going on since essentially WrestleMania 31. And I think the only way it's going to end here is with Roman Reigns holding up the title at the end.
100%. Dylan.
Yeah, so speaking of you saying about kind of knowing about Lesnar's deal and that, there's rumors it's supposed to be like a one-match deal for Saudi Arabia. I could totally see why they put the title on Lesnar at Mania and doing the rematch at Saudi Arabia, just for the fact that I think, fans in like Canada, US, that region, and even like the
we spoiled some bitches. Let's just say it like it is.
So all those fans, they all kind of like hate Roman Reigns. They're always talking to that, but I think like fans over in like countries that are like not really familiar with the whole. See, I don't even know how to explain this. So fans in like North America and like Europe and that, they're always talking about how Reigns is stupid, but I think like fans in like, like different continents and stuff, they're kind of like huge fans of Roman Reigns. They're not so down on it. So I think it's like a different environment to get bigger cheers for Roman Reigns, so that his title win means something. So I think Roman is gonna go over in the match. And yes, Lesnar, with the drug test thing, it probably will be 6 months, because I even listened to a podcast with Chris Jericho and Chanel Sonnen, who is saying that when you get suspended from the UFC, let's say you decide to retire, so Lesnar did that. Once you retire, your suspension is on hold, and then once you go back in, then you got to serve whatever's left of your suspension. So Lesnar's got to serve whatever's left of suspension. So let's say he served 12 months, he only did 6, and even though he's wrestled 6 months after that in WWE, he's still got to serve 6 months because he retired.
Yeah.
So, I think it's time. Roman Reigns is going to take the title. We'll see where it goes. So possibly, Roman Reigns and Samoa Joe for the Universal title at Backlash. And
well, I'm just gonna read this paragraph that I got in front of me.
Okay.
It says that Lesnar's new deal with WWE is said to be short-term, according to Dave Meltzer. Meltzer added that the deal will also allow Lesnar to return to the UFC for at least one fight, possibly more. So that tells me that this is actually almost like a year-long, maybe even multi-year deal with Brock Lesnar still at WWE. So I'm gonna call it now. If Brock Lesnar walks out of this match with the Universal title, which I don't think is likely, I'm going to say it right now, I don't think that's likely whatsoever, then I can guarantee you at SummerSlam, whoever faces Brock at that match, whether it be Reigns or Bobby Lashley or whoever, they're going to take the title off of him then.
Okay. And finally, the 50-man Royal Rumble match that is set to take place tomorrow. There are 25 out of the 50 entrants that have been revealed as of today. So I will just quickly go through them. Daniel Bryan from SmackDown, along with Big E, Kofi Kingston, and Xavier Woods, so the New Day. Shelton Benjamin, Sin Cara, Chris Jericho, Shane McMahon, and Randy Orton. So now for Raw superstars, you got Braun Strowman, Kurt Angle, Apollo Crews, Titus O'Neil, Elias, Goldust, Mojo Rawley, Dolph Ziggler, Baron Corbin, Chad Gable, Bobby Roode, Kevin Owens, and Sami Zayn. And then you have the likes of Rey Mysterio in the match, along with the Great Khali and Mark Henry, who have been announced for this match. So yeah, I don't know who really is going to win this 50-man Royal Rumble match, because there's not, I don't know. Like, I haven't really thought
the biggest
about it.
problem with predicting this match is that you only know half the field. You only know half the people that are in there. It's safe to assume, however, that the people who end up losing their championship matches, with the exception of the ladder matches, they're probably going to be in it. There's going to be a number of other legends. I'm going to say it right now. I think Hacksaw Jim Duggan's going to be there. It's a tough one to call.
What's the likeliness of someone like possibly Hulk Hogan returning to the WWE and being in this?
Hulk Hogan, not likely, just because of his age and how beat up his back is and whatnot. We know that Steve Austin was asked to be there, and he said no, just because they are trying to stack it up with as much star power as possible. I can see The Rock being in it, but at the same time, he's also doing media tours for Rampage, which is in theaters now.
Yeah, and actually, he just announced the other day of the new arrival of his daughter. So
yeah, that too. So there's going to be a lot of star power in this match. That much is for sure. I think you'll be able to see a few NXT call-ups, like maybe, just maybe.
Johnny Wrestling, yes.
Based on what we know now and who's in there, It wouldn't surprise me if they went in the direction of, say, the Great Khali. Just because he is from that area, he is above and beyond the biggest star out of the Middle East. It would be interesting to kind of give him that. But based on what we know now, I'm going to think more on that. I'm going to throw it to Dylan.
Okay.
I honestly think for this 50-man, I thought about this, and then, I truly believe this 50-man Rumble is a perfect story for Daniel Bryan to win it. I think with his, with his injury, and he came back, got cleared, the fact that, a lot of people wanted him to win the 2014 Rumble, but he never even showed up, so they booed Ray.
And I think that's part of the reason why. That's part of the reason why Rey Mysterio is getting this somewhat of a run now, just so that way his last moments could be cheers. By the way, Rey Mysterio showing up at Niagara Falls Comic Con. Throwing in that plug.
That's true. I'm pretty sure so is participant the Big Show, because I think he's in the match too. But yeah, Daniel, you know what? I can see Daniel Bryan being the guy who, is the winner of. I think the person who wins this match gets a trophy, which I guess it's all right. I'm surprised they didn't say something like, the winner gets a shot at SummerSlam, but it might devalue like the fact that, there's the shot of the original Rumble to Mania, but I guess it's what it is. So I think it's a perfect story for Daniel Bryan to outlast 49 other people and win the first 50-man Rumble. Who knows if there's going to be a yearly thing? I don't know. Maybe it's a one-time thing to strike some deals with Saudi Arabia. So, yeah, I think Daniel Bryan's going to win this match.
I like where you're going with this one, Dylan. Fighting for what he dreams of doing, and that is wrestling, of course. And I like this whole story of Daniel Bryan and him, being billed as before the underdog. Used to be Rey Mysterio, and now Daniel Bryan is basically, or was the Rey Mysterio of his time. So now I can see where you're coming from with this, Dylan. And also, Paul's prediction isn't far off too with the Great Khali. Maybe you're right. Maybe like if Jinder Mahal doesn't win the United States Championship match against Hardy, then he gets added to this match, and maybe Jinder Mahal pulls off a win. Perhaps he did lose that Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal with him being last eliminated due to Mojo Rawley with the help of Rob Gronkowski from the Patriots. I know, I'm not a big fan of the Patriots either. Anyways, so, maybe he has this whole redemption story going on behind the scenes where, he's like, man, I could really use this to push myself and win this trophy. So you know what? I'm gonna say Jinder Mahal gets added to this match and wins it.
That could be interesting. Looking at this again, looking at the field, I'm actually going to go in a different direction from all of you, and I'm actually going to say Braun Strowman. I think that's not the most reasonable path to go down. I'm going to say Braun Strowman, or if Bobby Lashley's in the match, then him. Just because they're both big, dominant men. Bobby Lashley, he's just coming back from his stint in Impact Wrestling. I think he needs a big win to kind of cement himself again as one of the top competitors in WWE. This would be the way to do it.
For sure. All right. Well, I want to thank you for being on Night of Wrestling.
Let's talk about one more thing, actually, Robbie.
Okay.
Let's talk about the elephant in the room.
Oh, here
that
we
is
go.
The fact that women cannot be on this show.
Yes.
Let's talk about that for a moment before we leave.
Okay.
What we need to remember is Saudi Arabia is changing. Even 5 years ago, the idea of this show even taking place would have been totally unheard of.
Yeah.
So this show is showing that the government is a step in the right direction. And for WWE to cancel the show because of Saudi Arabia's views, as changing as they are changing in the right direction. The idea that WWE would turn down this show simply because of that, I think is a little ridiculous. I think there's more good going on this show than bad. And I can understand people's outrage, especially with the women's evolution. But just wait. It's going to take time. You will see women compete in Saudi Arabia. It's just going to take a couple more years at the very least.
Yeah, I agree with you, actually. And for the fact that, they had Alexa Bliss versus Sasha Banks at Abu Dhabi.
Exactly.
That was quite interesting. So, I'm looking forward to, the rules changing for the better and having women at some point participating in matches. If, the chances were to ever occur that the WWE makes another deal with Saudi Arabia for an event, which, we'll see how the Greatest Royal Rumble event happens and see how that does.
I'm just gonna read what Triple H said the other day about this.
Okay.
And this is an exact quote. I understand that people are questioning it, but you have to understand that every culture is different. And just because you don't agree with a certain aspect of it, it doesn't mean it's not a relevant culture. You can't dictate to a country or a religion about how they handle things. But having said that, WWE is at the forefront of a women's evolution in the world, and what you can't do is affect change anywhere by staying away from it. While women are not competing in the event, we have had discussions about that and hope that in the next few years they will be. End quote. That tells you all you need to know. It's going to be a process.
Exactly.
I'm going to throw it to Dylan if he has any thoughts.
I don't know, to be honest. I don't really know much about the whole laws and culture of Saudi Arabia, but yeah, I guess Paul put the nail in the coffin, or Casket. Pun to the Casket match again, but
yeah.
All right, let's get out of here before we lose any more viewers with our political talk.
All right. So, Paul, thank you again for joining Dylan and I on Night of Wrestling. Or I guess, as I should say, this is an afternoon of wrestling talk. So, yeah, thank you, Paul.
Afternoon of wrestling.
Hey, of course.
And again, Dylan, thank you as always for being my co-host.
Yep.
Until next time, Dylan and I will be back with our predictions for Backlash, which takes place in a couple weeks. So
I think that's actually next week, to be honest, because
Is it actually?
Yeah, Backlash is.
Hold on, I want to
May 6th. So Backlash is May 6th. So we're
yeah, it is. It's next Sunday.
wow.
Hopefully, when I'm the co-host of this, that Saturday will change the ways of wrestling when yours truly will be in a tag team match at NWX Retaliation against Nerd Rage, in which, when I win, I will be rehired as GM and will be 37.5 owner of NWX. So hopefully, when I'm the co-host,
we have a tag team partner as of yet.
Well, you will just have to watch a nice video later on, either today or tomorrow, on the Matthew Mounty YouTube channel. So stay tuned on that. So
Okay.
All right. This has been Night of Wrestling. Until then, until next week, for Backlash predictions, this has been Night of Wrestling.